This is Mike Worth, and I'm here with Seth Pietsek, who is going to be our guest speaker today. And Seth, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business?
Yeah, so I have been in education for the last 12 years, most of it at the high school level, the last couple of years at the university level. And recently I have started consulting. The last couple of years while I was doing the university work, I started consulting. And my consulting work is twofold. One is with communication, and I do that a lot with Nancy Duarte out of California, and then a lot is, the other half is vision casting and setting up cultures for companies, and I work with school districts, and I work with nonprofits, and I work with really just whoever wants to have, but I've worked from places that have had thousands of employees like school districts, and then I've worked with a couple of nonprofits that are very tiny and small boards, but getting everybody on the same page regardless of size is critical to develop and getting to where you want to be, and I like helping people get there.
Well, I know that you're going to be talking about the development of corporate culture, whether it's in a nonprofit or for-profit arenas. Can you tell us a little bit of kind of what's on your mind and heart that you want to give us kind of a little preview of what you're going to be talking about on today?
Sure. So having a vision is bigger than just having a vision statement, but knowing what you want from your clientele, knowing what you want from your employees, knowing what you want from production at work, all goes into what is the culture that you create. And culture is going to happen at your place of work or wherever you are, your organization. There, you have a culture there. You can either develop it into what you want it to be, or it can run away from you. And you have a place that turnover's high, or people aren't producing because they're not happy there, or your clients aren't developing and they leave you, and you're having a high turnover in clients. But you have control over those things if you know how to work on your communication, identify your values, build your relationships, and when you can do those things in a very purposeful way, and it'll depend on what it is that your end goal is, but when you are purposefully taking steps towards that, then you get to develop that culture that keeps the retention there, right? That keeps people around. It limits your risk in the way that people view you and the way that you're having to constantly rebuild or redefine. You get to take the steps necessary to identify what those are. And when you're in control of that, then people want to work for you and people want to buy from you or whatever it is that you're doing. If you're just hoping that happens, then you put yourself, well, one is it just changes, right? Every time you change leadership, it changes. Every time you hire someone new, it would change the culture unless you're purposefully developing it. And what we're going to talk about today are steps to take to purposefully develop that culture that you're wanting.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, without much further delay, we'll go ahead and close out this video, and we'll look forward to you extrapolating out further meaning for us for this event. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. When you know what it is that you are doing, we start to look at what it is or how it is that we want to get there. We're going to start writing our vision doc. And your vision doc impacts every area of your business. So the way that you treat your clients, the way that you choose your clientele, the way that you do product delivery is all driven through vision. Okay, so I want to spend a little bit of time there. If you are, well, no, not if. Now that you have your mission statement written, what I want to do is pick my workforce. Okay, so right under your mission statement, I want you to write my workforce, and we're going to start there. And then I want you to pick a timeline. So in the next year, in the next 2 years, in the next 3 years. And I want you to think about what are your issues with your workforce right now? Are there, is it finding them, which ABILENE seems to be maybe worldwide is having an issue of finding workforce? Is it keeping workforce? Is it motivating workforce? I want you to think through, what are the issues that I'm having? Okay. I want you to identify the issue, and I want you to identify a timeline. So within the next year, within the next 3 years, whatever it is, we will, and then what's the problem? So we will hire certain number of people. We will retain better. We will motivate differently. What's the issue? And then what do you do to solve it? And I want you to think through, in order to do what? In order to, what outcome are you looking for? So deepen relationships, employee retention, leadership development. So your statement reads something like this. In the next year, when it comes to workforce, I will what? What is your thing? In order to deepen relationships, or in order to develop leaders, or in order to, I don't know, influence industry, whatever it is, whatever it is. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. I want you to write it out. I want you to think about it. I want you to write it out, and then I want to see who's willing to share with where you're coming from with your workforce. Okay? And if workforce isn't your thing, let's say like me, I have some consultants that I work with, but otherwise it's just my company. So if workforce isn't your thing, then you look at it through the eyes of your client. And maybe it's in the next year, when it comes to my clients, I want them to, and then what? What do you want for your clients? What do you want them to look like? And then you want them to look like that in order to strengthen the community, and you could be, whatever you offer puts them in a better buying position. Here's what I want to challenge you with. One is, this is a vision for your clientele, or this is a vision for your workforce. None of those are the end of your vision, okay? What I would like to challenge you to do is, in every area of your business, to write out this statement for what you want from them, what you want from your clientele, what you want from your product, what you want from those who are working for you, what do you want in the community, what do you want your community impact to look like, and spend a lot of time with that. Now we're going to take the next step, okay? So now you just have your thesis, okay? You have your vision thesis, that in the next year, when it comes to whatever, we will do whatever in order to achieve what? Therefore we will, and write that out, therefore we will, because now it gets into the strategy, all right? We're very high level at first. The vision for each person, very high level. We're going to hire 2 new people so that we can build more homes, okay? High level. Now we're going to parachute down a little bit, and we're going to start getting closer, and the vision's going to get clearer on how you're going to achieve that. So we're going to start with strategy. We're going to start with strategy, and then we're going to give ourselves a persuasive element that also acts as an evaluation tool, and we're going to ask why. Okay, why? And it doesn't have to be some big metaphysical answer to your why. It can be very practical for your why. And then we're going to answer real specifically how. So we're going to start out strategy. We're going to add a persuasive, evaluative element, and then we're going to go to tactical. Okay, so it looks like you're going to do your thing in order to achieve this. And to do that, therefore we will, and you may have 3 strategies that you need to write out eventually. We won't do them all right now. You may have 4, you may have 2, may just be 1. Okay, but for example, we're going to hire 2 new people. Now the strategy may be that we're going to hire a realtor and a contractor. Okay, so it gets more specific. Does that make sense? Okay, why are we going to do that? In order to build now maybe a specific number of homes or in a specific area. And then how are we going to do that? We're going to go and we're going to be on Indeed, or we're going to, it gets very practical and tactical at that point. Does that make sense? So what I want you to do is think out one step of that. Okay, 1, strategy, why, and how. Okay, so I want you to look at your vision and where you're wanting it to go. And then I want you to get very practical. What's my strategy going to be? Why are we doing that? What do we see as the outcome of this particular step? Or why is that particular step needed? And then how? What are the very specific things? Okay? I would challenge you in the future when we have more time to do like strategies 1, 2, and 3, or however many it takes. But right now we're just going to do 1. Okay? Flesh one of those out. Writing it out. I'll tell you a story. Why it's so important to differentiate mission, vision, and then work out the strategy of how it's going to work. Because I told you earlier that our family has a mission. And our mission is to be hard workers, be good thinkers, and to take care of other people. And that's what we do. We've said that for years and years and years. Every time I drop the kids off for school, what are you going to do, David? Dad, we're going to be good workers. We're going to be hard workers. We're going to be good thinkers, and we're going to take care of people. Excellent. Go have a good day. It also worked as a discipline tool. So you're in trouble. Why are you in trouble? Which of those 3 things did you not do? Either you didn't think that out, either you were mean to someone, or you are not working hard. You're being lazy. Okay, those 3 things tend to cover most discipline issues. Now we did that, and we did that for years and years, and really it was just something that we sort of used more as a discipline tool than really any benefit was coming from. So I started to ask my kids in the summer. We have some discussions like this. What is it that you hear when I say those things? And they were taking that as this is the discipline tool. Like this is the measurement on am I screwing up or not? Like, okay, that's true. That's part of it. I want you to be able to measure yourself that way. The other side of it is though, what are you doing to take care of people? And we had never gotten specific about it before. So this past school year we did. Okay, I asked them to specifically look at, hey, how are you going to take care of people? What's your strategy going to be? Remind yourself why that's important, and then start thinking tactically about what's going to go into that and what's going to have to happen to make that work. What ended up happening was my middle son, who's way too smart for me, comes home and he says, Dad, we'd like to buy a water bottle for a friend at school. And I said, oh, okay. That doesn't sound like something that should be my problem, but why? Why are we buying a water bottle for this kid at school? And he said, it broke. And we get into this all the time about how inanimate things, it didn't break, right? You broke it, and you need to say, I broke this water bottle, and therefore I owe this kid a water bottle. And he's like, but that's not what happened. Dad, I said, okay, well, what did happen? And he said the kid was throwing it up in the air, some other kid was throwing this guy's water bottle up in the air, and he dropped it, and it broke. I said, okay, when it broke, great. This sounds like the other kid's problem, and the other kid's should take care of it. And he said, but the other kid's not going to take care of it. And I said, well, still not our problem, right? Still not my deal. And Hudson, my middle son, turns around and says, Dad, you tell us to take care of people. I think this is a way that I can take care of people. You've been asking us to look for how that works, and this is a place that I feel like that I could go and do that. Ah, crap. Now he's listening. So, okay, let's go. So I take him to Walmart, and we go, and he's looking at water bottles, and at this point in time, I did not know that there were different levels of water bottles. Like I just thought there were $3 water bottles, and we would grab it, we would leave, and that'd be good. So there are $25 and $30 water bottles apparently, and Hudson found those, and he said, I want to get this water bottle. Hudson, like they're just way more reasonable water bottles to get. And he said, Dad, you tell us that if we're going to take care of people, to do it with excellence. I'm like, God bless. That's true. That's true. I've said that. And I thought, God, it's his money. That's fine. If that's what he wants to do, that's great. So we go and get in line. I'm like, well, are you ready to pay? He said, well, Dad, I thought you were going to pay for it. I'm like, well, this is real generous of you to buy this kid's water bottle with my money. And he said, Dad, you told us that if we would take care of people and if we would follow this vision that you gave us, you would always help support us. And I meant, like clap for you. Like I would, way to go, Hudson. He's like, well, I feel like your support means money. And so I thought, well, I didn't say it didn't, so that wasn't part of the plan. So we bought the bottle. Him and this other kid have come on to be very good friends, and the kid's coming over to this house often now. But it started with something that we had a mission, and we've had it for years and years. We used it as a discipline measurement, and that was fine to kind of see, are we reaching the mission that we want to reach? But it wasn't until we started putting these steps to the tactical side that we started to see real things change, real things happen, okay? In the video, I talked about that your industry or your business or your family or whatever is going to have a culture, okay? There is a culture that's going to follow it. You can either create it and develop it, or it's going to take over and run away on its own. It's going to become alive on its own. So us being able to put into our vision, this is what it looks like. This is the direction that we're going to go and how we're going to get there. We need to create a culture that feeds the vision that helps us attain our mission. Okay, and I want to talk about that for just a minute. So I want you to look at the statement that you wrote. How am I doing on time? Okay, that's what I was afraid of. Okay, I want you to draw 3 circles, and I want you to make them connect like I've made this connect. So like a Venn diagram, okay? Can you Venn diagram 3 circles? I gave you 2 pieces of paper for the people that set up close. Everybody got 2 pieces. If you want to turn it around, then that's fine. But you've got 3 circles, and in those 3 circles are what really dominates your culture, okay? It's going to be communication in one circle, values in another circle, relationships in the third circle, okay? When you're feeding those 3 things, you're developing the culture of what business, family, civic event, whatever it is, yourself. You need to identify what are the elements of each of these things that are most important to you. And I can't tell you what those are because I don't know what culture it is that you want to create. And it can be very, very different and still be very, very good. Okay, does anybody know the name Ray? I think his last name is Dalio, okay, investor, right? He's worth $20 billion. A couple of, no, it's probably a decade ago that somebody sent him an email, and it was just scathing, just this scathing email about what an idiot he is and how nothing he does is good and how he's this evil person. All of these things go into it. And the guy worked for him that wrote the email and was fully expecting to get fired, but he was like, here it is. I'm frustrated. And Ray took that and he thought, oh, I didn't know any of these things about myself. This is really good. Why have people not told me that I've been treating them so badly for so long? And so Ray instituted this. We're going to openly speak at every meeting that we have. This isn't going to be a long-term or a short-term, or let me back up. This isn't going to be something that you have to hide because you're afraid of me. This is something I want you to be very blunt with me, and I'm going to be very blunt with you. And that's the communication that they set up. That works for them. Okay. A lot of other organizations, they want a coaching method. I don't want to be real direct with you. I want to ask you questions and like Socratically lead you there. Also good. Okay, good things. Good things about both of them. They're very different communication styles. They also produce very different cultures. Okay, which one is right for you? I don't know, right? It's your culture. It's what you're going to set up and develop. Relationships, you get to decide what type of relationships do I want to have. Another, who is it? Francione. well, his name just escaped me, but he talks about that he wants friendships, and he wants deep, meaningful friendships within his organization. There's other people who they want very strict walls set up on, we can be this type of friend or this type of relationship, but we're not going to get really close. The either's okay, just depending on what your culture is wanting. Okay, values, what's most important to you. There are times when those things will intersect. When they all intersect and they've all aligned, your communication is clear, your values are strong, your relationships have been developed, you have the culture that you want. Okay, you have the culture piece that you want. Now, there are times when communication and values are going to align, but the relationship part is left out. That's okay. That's okay. You can't see this very well, but there's communication and values and relationship. Those are the three cornerstones, okay? Then where they meet, where like values and relationship meets, it's motivation. Where relationship and communication meet, that's commitment. And where communication and values meet, that's a statement. These three things are good, but if you're just in those things, it puts a strain on culture. Okay, not a bad strain all the time, sometimes a very necessary strain. For example, at home, we value a clean house. Okay, I'm going to communicate very clearly, even to my dear Sophia, who's an 11-year-old slob and gross, but I will tell her, you're going to go clean your room. Okay, that's a statement. I made a statement. Nothing about that sentence built the relationship. That's not bad unless that's all I'm making. If I'm just making demands of her, if I'm just making statements and I don't realize that I've strained the relationship, then my culture's bad, right? I'm squeezing that culture down, okay? If my communication and my relationship is really strong, they know exactly what it is that I'm talking about. We have this connection together. There's going to be a commitment level there, okay? They're going to stay with me. That commitment gets strained when there's no value. Like if I don't, then we become buddies. If you think about it, church, okay? And I hate that church is a great example of this, but churches tend to be a great example of this. Strong communication, relationships are big, but you don't necessarily know what you stand for. Okay, does anybody go to that church? No? Good. You'll stay committed to it, though. And for years and years, you'll go to that church, okay? But the culture isn't developing anything that church really set out to do because you don't know what it is because your values weren't strong, okay? The other side of it, relationship is really strong. Your values are really clear. Man, I'm excited about that place, okay? I know what we stand for. I know where we're going, but the communication's not clear. This motivation, which can be fantastic, will drown out and I'll get super frustrated because I don't know where we're going, okay? So all three of these things have to align. Statements aren't bad. Motivation's definitely not bad. Commitment's not bad. If I have just one of those, though, then I'm choking out the others, and my culture starts to fall apart. So I have to pay attention. I'm making statements. Well, then what am I doing to mend the relationship? Okay? Or I've got values and I've got a relationship. I know I've got people who are highly motivated to walk alongside me. Am I clearly telling them where to go? When I am, then my culture's strong. Okay, so what I want to do, oh, no, I don't. Okay, so what I wanted to do and what you can do at home is think through what are my values and name your top 3 to 5 values. In communication, what are top 3 things in the way that we communicate that I want to make sure people really understand? I have an open door policy. I want you to be very straightforward with me. Or I want the sandwich method, and I want you to tell me something nice, and then you can tell me something critical, and then you can tell me something nice again. And that's the communication style I'm going to use. What type of relationship do you want with the people that you want? Like every once in a while, Sophia, my little 11-year-old, says, "Daddy, you're my best friend," and I will say, "Sweetheart, I'm not. Right now, I'm not your best friend. I'm your dad, and that's going to be when you are older. You and I will be best friends. I promise. And I'm going to take care of you, but I'm going to also discipline you, and you're going to know that, okay? So it's a different relationship, and I just want that clear for her. That works for my culture and what I'm doing. I don't know if it does for you or not, so I can't help you with that part.